and this is the Warp Forge with the 2k battle report. I'm using my Chaos Space Marines, the Soulless Warband, and I'm either going to be fighting Tau or Eldar, depending on what my opponent wants to bring. Yes, so I'll go through my choices, and then I'll go through some odd choices that people will probably give us an awkward stare at, and then we'll move on to the clip. Yeah, we'll move on to the actual battle report, and then after that we'll be moving on to the afterthoughts. I have a Chaos Lord with a Veterans of the Long War, Mark of Tzeentch, Sigil of Corruption, Black Mace, Jump Pack, Multi-Bombs and a Plasma Pistol. I have 35 cultists, 3 have a heavy stubber, 1 has a shotgun, the champion obviously, and the rest have auto guns. I also have 2 squads of 10 Chaos Space Marines with 2 plasma guns, and the champion has a lightning claw. And all of them are Veterans of the Long War, because Veterans of the Long War. I have an Aegis defense line with a quad gun. I have 2 Helldrakes with Bale Flamer. Sorry guys, these guys are just really nice. I like the idea of a demonically possessed dragon. Mechanical dragon. Skyrim dragons, 40k style. But yep, 5 Warp Talons with Mark of Tzeentch for all of them, and Veterans of the Long War for all of them. Heavy support, I have a Barebones Forge Fiend, and I have a Barebones Land Raider. And for my elite, I have 5 Terminators with Power Mauls. 1 has a Combi Melter, 1 has a Heavy Flamer. And they all have Mark of Nurgle. So I'll go through some odd choices now. Lord, yes, I know, Plasma Pistol. I'm going to get an awkward stare, but I am using the Dark Vengeance Lord, and I've just kit bashed with him with a jump pack on his back, just because what you see is what you get. But but that Plasma Pistol actually helps because it gets rid of certain targets when he deep strikes with his Death Star squad of Warp Talons. Quite honestly, he fight in one game against Necrons that I had recently. He fired his Plasma Pistol at a Lord, not his Overlord, just a normal Necron Lord that was in front of his Necron Warriors, granting him a 2+ save, because if you fired anything that was less equal to or less than AP2, he always got his 2+ save. So we always call it a 2+ save line of Necrons. So AP2 Plasma is the way to go. Yes, it's a double-edged sword. He can blow up in his face, but to be honest, it's worth the risk. Plus, you also have little epic moments. The Autogun Cultists now. I know that's a bit of an odd choice, but as soon as I saw the Cultists, I immediately thought Imperial Guard tactics. Just the blob of autoguns. Everyone knows why the las gun in the Imperial Guard squad are so feared, because of the volume of fire they can fire can really hurt the enemy who's trying to... For Overwatch, can really hurt the enemy who's come towards them. And to be fair, in my opinion, they're a great unit, because in the same game against Necrons, they repelled a 15-man squad of Necrons, warriors, and they also gave me Slay the Warlord, and they also sat on the objective, because the mission in that game was mission 5 in the rulebook, in the big red book. But yeah, so to me, they've paid the points back, and I'll happily use them with confidence again. The only time I'm a bit fussed is when I see like flamers near them, but then again, every Aegis defense line, or every army with an Aegis defense line, apart from Space Marines, have this kind of problem. Unless you're against Helldrakes. Apologies for using the Helldrakes. Aegis defense line with quad gun for the cultists. The Chaos Plasma squad's just the normal. It's just standard Plasma AP2. 2 Helldrakes. Yes, 2 Helldrakes. Well, sorry guys, these guys are good Bale Flamers. Can't really argue with that. 5 Warp Talons. Yep, the Warp Talons go for the Lord, and I specifically chose them because I like the idea of them. But I like the Warp Flame Strike roll as well. and this helped me in that same game against Necrons, which was the first time I ever used that squad. Deep struck, they got an on-target marker on the scat dice. They were quite near 2 squads of Immortals that, if I didn't deal with soon enough, they would have been flanking me Aegis Defence line, taking my objective. So I deep struck them there, and I made 1 squad, which you didn't want to blind. At initiative 2, it's great. And against another Immortal blob, which he wanted it to get blind for some reason. I think it's because he just wanted to roll 6s for that unit. That one didn't blind, so... And then the Chaos Lord fired his plasma pistol and took one of the Lords out on the blinded Immortal squad. But I will use this unit again, because after all I've bought it, may as well use it. But I am using this in confidence. Heavy support, well, Forge Fiend, bare bones. I know I'm probably getting an awkward stare by many, and now I'm probably going to get told instead of using Forge Fiends I should be using Maul Fiends. I don't mind Maul Fiends, but I just like having me Gatling cannons. I like strength 8 weapons, and I'm firing 8 shots of them. So volume of fire, and I'll wound with bone armour, or with knights and with lords, on a 4+. And the volume of fire will hopefully take a lot of wounds off them. Land Raider, well, I just want to try something new. A lot of people bring strength 8. They don't usually bring strength 9 or 10 weapons. So armor 14 is going to be very hard armor to fight against. Plus, twin-linked heavy bolt. Everything's twin-linked. Lascannon's twin-linked heavy bolter. My elites, well, power molnators. That's to add to me main tactics, because in my opinion, which I'll probably make a video about actually, is that Chaos is a game of pressure, and I don't mean all in your face. That's aggressive, and that's a demons player. That's a demon player's play style. That's what demons are supposed to do. Demons are meant to be throw out in your face, but they're not static as well. So they're not like Imperial Guards, stand back and fire. They're a constant game pressure. They're meant to make the opponent feel claustrophobic. So having like 4 units on turn 2, which does sound like a lot, I don't know, and I'm relying on dice rolls, but still, I think that'll be a very nice thing. Very nice tactic to use, just to make them feel claustrophobic, and like as a Chaos Lord would do, slowly make them crack. But yep, so that's my army. I've went through the odd choices. Obviously Terminators, they're going to get hit, that's why I put Mark Nurgle on, make it harder for them to get hit, and then I'll be laughing it off with 2+ arm save. Yeah, so that's my army, and we shall be going to the battle report for the mission style and deployment next. And this is the 2,000 point game. As you see, the terrain is nicely set up. This is where my Forge Fiend is. These are my 35 cultists with the Aegis Defence line. There's the objective. We rolled for the mission, and it's mission 5 on the chart. On the mission chart. There's the objective. We're not playing mysterious objectives because we both don't want to. Simple as that. Land Raider is here with its demonically looking las cannons. 10-man Chaos Marine squad. I also got Master of Deception for the Chaos Marine Warlord chart, and I rolled 1 for how many units are infiltrating. I'm using 1 unit, which is a 10-man Chaos Marine squad. And they're outflanking. The second unit is the Lord. They're deep striking with the Lord with the jump pack. Those are also deep striking, and those are flyers. Both the Hell Drakes are in reserve. That's a Terminator unit, and that's Warp Talon with Chaos Lord jump pack unit. Now moving on to my opponents.
So I've got some reserves over there, which is just a crisis team, normal crisis team. Then I've got Skyray sitting there looking over all of his stuff. Then there's 4 squads of fire warriors, well 5 with some helpful guys, and there's a theorem just adding some firepower with a makeshift ADL and a fireblade manning the makeshift quad gun, and some drones because I felt like it. Yeah. Some pathfinders to help with marker lights, piranha and broadsides, fruit, massive hammerhead which looks awesome, and some stealth suits sitting there being stealthy. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and my warlord trait is for my warlord, which is that guy, to get Skyfire for 1 turn. So that would be.
Okay, so this is an overview of turn 1. I'll go through what happened to me, and then I'll go through what happened to him. Basically, cultists fired at that quad gun, reduced it to a wound. As you can see, something happened to that quad gun. The rest of the squad did bottle. This guy moved forward 6 inches, then proceeded to fire at the sky ray. 2 shots got in, 2 shots penetrated, 2 shot, and the damage results were immobilized twice. So I took already 2 hull points off, and as the rulebook says, if it's already immobilized, which it was by the first result, the second result was a glancing hit basically. So out of 3 hull points I wrecked it, gaining me first blood of the match. And that's it. Ignore that unit, we went into turn 2 a little bit late. But yeah, they deep striked and they got an on target marker. This guy fired at him, and I got weapon destroyed on the hunter killer missile, wasn't it? Yeah. Yes. So I reduced a hull point and got the hunter killer missile destroyed, and these guys moved and ran from here to here. Apart from that, I'll go through turn 2 later, but first my opponent's turn 1.
Yeah, so it was fairly interesting turn 1 with my stuff dying, and then I managed to take out his quad gun, which was pretty good, and then I moved the drones up a little bit, and I tried to get his massive vehicle with my little one, but I didn't. So I just took it out with that and that instead. So it's now down to 2 hull points, and I moved me fruit up a little bit, and the rest of it I basically ignored because none of it was in range. So that was my turn 1.
Okay, so my turn 2 then. Very interesting. This guy fires at the quad gun, destroys it. These guys did absolutely bottle apart from stealing the objective. Helldrake came in, got intercepted, exploded, as we see here, by the quad gun that is now deceased. This guy fired and did nothing really, didn't he? Nope. This guy fired his Christian Bale Flamer and killed 6 of those, and he took a leadership test and passed. Next turn though, they might have to move into coherency next time they move. These guys deep struck. Because of the War Flame special rule, he had to take initiative tests or suffer the blind special rule. Those guys passed. He was jammy with them and he passed his blind test. But with those he was very unlucky with his pathfinders, and they suffered blind for his next turn too. These guys fired into the stealth suits and reduced the squad to 1 guy. He's a lucky jammy person. He passed his leadership test as well. Those guys here fired into the side armour of the hammerhead and did absolutely nothing as usual. Yep, so that was my turn 2. It was alright, still neck and neck. Now it is my tall friend's turn 2.
This will be turn 2. And as you can see by the massive crater, that Helldrake died of death to that guy. And pretty good shooting. Then the Piranha tried to take a shot at the tank and missed, so the broadsides just took another hull point off it. And the crew tried to fire at those guys but did nout. And that was the result of my turn 2.
Turn 3 of Chaos Space Marines. Cultists fired at that Tau gun drone squad and killed 2. This guy did nothing apart from retreat a bit and just stay there. Land Raider fired into the Piranha and managed to make it explode. These guys fired into this guy and he managed to pass every single save. Jammy. These guys fired into that, destroyed the other hunter killer missile, and also managed to reduce it to 1 hull point. Yep. The alt guns did nothing. These guys fired into Fire Warriors since the Heavy Flamer was not able to get line of sight to the Pathfinders, and they did struck fine and killed 2 Fire Warriors. Warp Talons with the Lord fired into one broadside, managed to inflict 1 wound on it, and then they assaulted, killed the one broadside and 1 wound, and they're locked in combat with that broadside. Only time will tell. And Tau turn 3.
So you will notice the lack of enemies there, thanks to my massive gun line just destroying them all. I moved my hammerhead over here from there, and it shot at his tank and didn't do anything. The combat, I lost a wound on mine and didn't inflict anything, so that was that was pretty bad, but we're still locked in combat, so could go better. My crew sniped a couple of his guys from there, and I wiped out a few guys over here, and that will be the end of my turn 3.
Turn 4 overview. The cultists fired into the drones and reduced it to 1 man. He passed his leadership test. These guys fired into the Fire Warriors and killed 1 from Teddy's all cannons. This fired into the long strike and did absolutely bot all.
It's kind of fallen off.
These guys fired into the Kroot and reduced it to 1 man who passed his leadership test. These guys fired, plasma guns did mount, however a bolted round took this guy in the eye, so he's on 1 wound. That was all from my combat here. Killed the last broadside, and that is my turn 4. Ongoing to the Tau turn.
That squad there didn't do too well from the last turn, so they're being reduced to 2 guys by a combination of the Pathfinders and those guys, and I tried to get them with a pie plate from there, but it didn't really work. So I've also ran that guy in and shot at them, and it didn't really do anything. And I put a flamer up there, but that didn't really do anything either. It got them all, but didn't actually hit them. that didn't kill them. Whoops. And then I shot at them with burst cannons, and that killed a few of them. And everything else has been left pretty much intact, unfortunately. That will be the end of my
turn 4. Yes, turn 4. Chaos Space Marines turn 4. This fired at them and killed a load of them. As you see, a little triangle of space. These guys absolutely bot all, but stay on the objective. We'll go over the Warlord a bit later. This guy fired and did nothing. These guys fired and killed one battlesuit. One guy over here killed, well, bolt rounds killed the last recruit. And that was basically it. Now, Warp Talons charged, and basically Overwatch. Basically what happened was they got Overwatch, but then support and fire. Now here's a question for everyone. Does support and fire require line of sight? That's what we're getting confused on. But there we go. They overwatched, killed the Warp Talon champion. The Lord went in. He took 2 wounds, one for Overwatch, one for the close combat, and he killed 2 guys. Then killed 3 more because of the Black Mace. Then killed the Marker Light drone. Then they decided to run away. I failed my sweep in advance, and he consolidated an inch to the wall. Those guys I've already mentioned, and that was my turn 4 for Chaos Space Marines.
This turn was quite good. I managed to finish off the Land Raider eventually, with the help of my friendly Hammerhead. I got that squad down to 1 man by using those guys, with the Flamer actually working. I moved those guys out and shot a couple of guys from over there. And I finally finished off his Warlord, who was disappeared from there because of those guys. So that was my turn.
Turn 5 overview. The cultists moved back a bit after suffering some casualties from those fire warriors. The Forge Fiend then moved up and fired at those same fire warriors, killing 2 of them. 2 of them exploded in violent crimson paste everywhere. That was wrecked, obviously. That's a lone survivor. The plasma gun from that squad fired into the Crisis battlesuit and killed 1. Another plasma gun fired into the Crisis battlesuit, but he saved. Then all the bolt rounds fired, and he killed the last guy. And that was really turn 5 of Chaos Space Marines.
So I moved that guy down from the top of there, and then shot at that guy, which missed. And then Hammerhead shot a pipe light over here at these guys, except it landed like there, and used a smart missile system to take out a couple of the guys. And then, because I forgot to move other people into range, that was it. So it wasn't a very good turn 5 for me, and that's pretty much the end of the game, I would say.
Okay, so victory conditions. We both have an objective, so that's 3 points. My tall friend got 1 point for Slay the Warlord. I've got 1 point for Line Breaker. I also have another point for First Blood, which was the Sky Ray. So I am 2 points ahead, so therefore it is a victory to the forces of Chaos. The Chaos Space Marines have been victorious.
So, my thoughts on the game. I think like the Sky Ray kind of failed with dying in the first turn. Didn't go too well. And I think that probably the squads of Fire Warriors with the Fireblade was the best, because it just put out so many shots. It just helped murder stuff really easily. I think it went quite well on the whole. I enjoyed it. It doesn't really matter that I lost, to be fair. It would be nice to win, but I don't really care. Good game. Shut up, Josh. Yeah, it was a good game.
Okay, so afterthoughts. Well, what performed best for me? Well, I think I've got to give it to the Forge Fiend. I know it's an odd unit, but first turn it got me first blood on a Sky Ray, which I really desperately needed to take out. So that was a huge factor in winning the game for me. What did I think performed least well? Probably the new Helldrake I just bought. Yes, it's good, but against Tau it gets bombed. Gets shot out of the sky, so I mean, can't really argue really. To be fair, it's better that way if it did blow up first turn, otherwise it might have just like been stompy all over my opponent, and I don't enjoy doing that to my opponent. I only had 2 Helldrakes because it was the first time I ever used 2 Helldrakes, and I don't like proxying usually, so I was just trying to test out 2 Helldrakes as well. But I think against other opponents it'll do much nicer. Yeah. What are my thoughts on the Tau? Well, a lot of people on internet forums are screaming that they're overpowered. I honestly don't think so. I have the massive urge, or whatever it is, to say that the new 6th edition hardback books are not overpowered. Chaos Marine one wasn't, Dark Angels one wasn't, Demons, although people may say they are, they're not. Tau, a lot of people are saying that they are, but they're not. And Eldar, I haven't beaten them yet. I've only had one game as Orcs against the new Eldar Codex, but with tactics, I have had a game with Chaos Marines, and it was a draw roughly because we didn't get that much time for a big game for like a full turn game. So I think with the good tactics you can also beat Eldar. But I see a lot of people screaming that Tower overpowered, but they're not. I think they're extremely well written, to be honest, and that's why people are a bit screaming. But I can understand in some, like in most cases where some of it is legitimate concerns for their own army. For example, Black Templars. I mean, they're not getting the best smiles. Neither the Orcs as well. Tyranids can perform well against them. Dark Eldar can still perform well against them, but it really is mostly tactics, to be honest. I think my tactics here cracked him. I think I've cracked the Chaos Marine, how Chaos Marines are played, which is a game of pressure. And I don't mean pressure as in all in your face. I mean like pressure as in you've got an even balance of ranged firepower. You've got an even balance of something close up at the enemy, which I think I performed quite admirably well in this instance. All in all, it was a fun game, but I am going to take this win as like something close, cause I used Warp Talons and I used a lot of options that a lot of people would strongly advise against, and I fought Gunline Tau with them, and in this battle report, as you've seen, I've won with them. And if I can win with them, I'm sure somebody else can win with them, simply. So yeah, I think a lot of people also think about Mathhammer too much. You remember we're playing Warhammer, where not everything is always averages when you actually come to roll the dice. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. And I think people focus too much on Mathhammer. But apart from that, it was a very enjoyable game. Yeah, I was properly concentrating as well, as was my opponent as well. We were both properly concentrating on the game, ignoring everything around us. It was quite hard, but to focus. But we did. It was great. It was one of those games where it was neck and neck until the last turn, till the last dice roll. We both enjoyed it. We've got some memorable moments out of it, and all in all, it was a very good game. If you like this battle report, please check out other battle reports and other stuff that I do on the channel. Give it a like and subscribe if you want. It's up to you. This is the Warforge with a 2000 point battle report. Chaos Space Marines versus the Tau Empire. This is Typical Argonian signing off.